Looking back, I made a lot of mistakes in this episode. Some incomplete thoughts, maybe a few biased takes, and in my mind, I came off as stubborn and unwilling to speak. I could blame it on being tired, underprepared, overworked, or my ADD making it hard to get my thoughts out, but honestly, none of that really matters. They're just excuses. I just feel like I needed to add what I frankly didn't articulate. I wanted to try and break this down with as little judgment as possible. We're all human, right? Beautiful creatures cursed with the ability to question why we're here. And that can take us down some pretty rough existential paths. We start asking these big questions and looking for answers, and nowadays we all turn to the same place. We Google it. And that gives us quick answers, but often they're just surface level. Then we want to dig deeper and might not know exactly what we want to search for, or maybe focus on the wrong idea. Before we know it, we've landed on Facebook or YouTube watching videos that break things down in simple, entertaining ways. The problem with that? Some of those videos are just straight up misleading for the purpose of getting clicks. But the algorithm sees we're engaging with them, so it feeds us more because we're interested, right? Next thing you know, we're flooded with this kind of content, and it starts to mess with how we see the world. We end up searching the same terms that those videos push, the same keywords that those videos push, and it takes us down a rabbit hole to potential misinformation, reinforcing ideas that might not even have been real in the first place. And it's not just a you or me thing. It's not just a left or a right thing. It's not a do your research thing. It happens to everyone. I mean, myself included. And this wealth of knowledge that we have at our fingertips now all just pushes us right back into social circles sworn against anyone who doesn't believe what we believe. It's not necessarily opening our mind. It's carefully curated to match exactly what we want to hear. There's a concept out there called illusory superiority, and it says that most people in the world believe that they're better than average or smarter than average. But if everyone were above average, that would just become the average, right? And there's nothing wrong with being average. But this mindset makes people dig in their heels on their beliefs because they're smarter than you. And you can see where this is going. Their version of the truth becomes more important than any actual evidence that's out there. And then you add in the whole us versus them mentality that's everywhere, and you get a recipe for division and conflict. But what I'm trying to say is we're all human. 99.9% of our DNA is exactly the same as everyone else in the world. If you cut me, I bleed. If you hurt me, I get sad. But when we work together, we can do amazing things. So yeah, what's focused on in society generally aren't the life or death issues that we make them out to be. Nations rise and fall, and that's just history. But the human spirit always survives. That will always stick around. So talk to your neighbors sometime. You may not agree with all the ideas that they have or agree with everything in general with them, but it doesn't make either of you right or wrong. Working together is far more beneficial than yelling and screaming who's more right than the other. That's what my thoughts are. And the beautiful thing about free will is you don't even have to agree with it. Just like I don't have to agree with ideas that you may have. But if we work together and we find that middle ground, we're just going to make the world such a better place. I also wanted to say that we all love and respect each other here at Blockhead Nation. I want to make that very clear, because that's what makes this group so beautiful. It's all about bettering ourselves and in turn bettering the world. The problems in this world don't come from a single thought or a single event, but they do start with just ourselves. And together, we have way more power than we ever would divided. So I just wanted to say that I love you, Ryan, Rudy, and Kyle love you, and that's all that's important. So let's get better, block by block.
And learning what we can and sticking to the man. Oh, I am blocking, a blocking, yes I am.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to
Blockhead
Nation.
Oh, yeah.
Slap two Slim Jim. Eat me. That's
That's
awesome.
beautiful.
But yeah, so anyway, hey everybody. We just want to let you guys know what we're up to in the world right now. Kind of, we wanted to just do a catch-up episode, have Dave on here with Rudy and myself, and just kind of go through what's going on in the world, talk about some topics that are relevant and that we don't always get into. So I think it's kind of good to get a beat on what's going on in the world, but we also want to let you know what we have going on in the upcoming months. And I know the next thing we have going on, Rudy, if you want to take over, is the race where we're putting in a team, a charity
Yep.
race.
Yes, we do have the Magic for Maddie 5K coming up. We're trying to put a team together. If you are so inclined, you'll get a free hat or a beanie. And they would appreciate it. We would really appreciate it. You have the option to run a 5K. You can walk a 2K, or you can bring the family and just hang out at a carnival. So it's going to be great. You're going to see us there. Hopefully, the whole team, and we're going to make it memorable as we can. In addition to that, Don, right? We're looking to do more charitable events. It's not, we want to, it's about you guys. It's about the communities that we live in. It's about the people that we can impact. So if we can put something on before the end of the year, maybe early next year, we're going to look to do it, and you'll hear all about it. Outside of that,
Yeah.
we're just moving and grooving, trying to, you know, navigate
Been
this.
grooving, building and building.
Yeah.
Episode 12, guys.
Coming up. And guys, we're coming up on almost a full year, which is amazing. We're going to try to get to at least 15, 16 episodes by the end of the year. And
Yeah.
we're very excited to that. As far as the charity events go, guys, leave comments below, reach out to us, direct message us. Any ideas that you have, whether, it's a golf tournament, a bowling thing, raffle. We have a lot of merch that we can give away. We have a lot of ways that we can get involved. We do have a reasonable network of people that we know will come, but we really want that network to reach out to other people. We want the people who are following us on social media to reach out and support this event, to really help build this community and then go back to the blocks that we're really trying to build. And the foundation of this is to build out the communities in which we're all part of, even going back to Berkshire County, where we're all from, and doing something for that community and having that be the staple of, the Blockhead Nation charity event. So the first charity event will likely be in Berkshire County because that's where our roots are, but we would love to eventually do those all over the state and then, all over the country and beyond. So we're really, really looking forward to that. It might be as late as next year just because we want to put the time and effort and resources into it to make it as grandiose and as best as possible so we can raise as much awareness and as money for the charities that we decide to sponsor as possible. But that's something that we're really, really looking forward to doing.
Oh, so I was watching a documentary, the Vince McMahon documentary.
Oh, God.
On him building the WWF. And
I haven't seen it, but I know the story.
Yeah, I mean, what a crazy situation. But he said that he was like nervous during the interviews, and he's like, I don't really talk about me. I'm a performer, right? So his life was a performance and like an extension of himself. But I feel the same way. I don't like talking about me. I could perform something, right? It's pretty. But look how successful he's been, right?
Well, up until fairly recently.
Well, I mean, he can't be fucking raping people,
Right. Or, force feeding, whatever, force feeding pills into these people.
Cocaine. So you don't know anything about this? No.
Yeah. Oh, dude. All right, you're watching the series on him, right?
Yeah.
How far are you?
I, in passing, watched it this past weekend. I watched the whole thing.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, the guy's kind of a dick.
Oh yeah, he's totally.
Is it one of those things that doesn't really make him look good?
I mean, like at first you're like, oh, all right, yeah, this is great, and then you start reminiscing about all the cool shit, and then
it doesn't make him look terrible,
right? But like,
I mean, it just notifies you.
Notifies you that he's definitely a dick.
Yeah, and he's done. I mean, he's done.
Yeah, he's cooked.
He's canceled. Whatever,
They call it, yeah. The people who lean into the cancel stuff do better. But it's almost like The Last Dance was an amazing documentary about Michael Jordan, right? But you
Mhm.
know that he had his hand in on it because nothing in there made him look bad. It didn't show any of his flaws or, you know what I mean? Any
Yeah.
Yeah.
weird,
Didn't
questionable
bring up
stuff.
his gambling addiction or
Yeah, any of that
Oh,
stuff,
I'm
which is,
sure
or
he
his
was.
problem with hookers.
Yeah, I'm sure he was
okay,
fucking
yeah.
slamming a bunch of chicks.
And
Yeah.
alcohol. I mean,
And
when you
alcohol.
see him, you can tell that he's definitely a drinker. I mean, I know
Yeah,
that.
Uh,
I know that.
yeah.
he huffs a entire cigar with one fucking huff. I mean, it's done.
Lungs of steel.
Yeah,
He's a pretty good athlete, but that guy, it's just you can tell. I mean, but when you think about it, if you're a billionaire, you have insight, and kind of you can oversee these things. That's why it's a little confusing about Vince McMahon because like he is probably a billionaire or close to it too. So, you usually can get your hands in on stuff like that, to kind of shape the narrative a little bit.
yeah. Well, yeah. I think it's just maybe yeah maybe the type of clientele that he was dabbling with. I feel like Mike, he went, with the mid range, a very expensive hooker type. They expect
Yeah.
it. They expect the dirty. But Vince was probably giving the dirty to people that didn't expect it, and that's not cool. All right, even if you're a billionaire, it's not. I mean, you got
Dude,
Yeah.
if we don't clip that, then I'm done with the whole operation. To be honest with you,
I hope
I'm never
everybody's
coming back.
recording. I would really appreciate that to be the intro.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, it's got to be something, and we need a soundbite of it too. We need a soundbite.
Oh my god.
That's unbelievable because
yeah.
that was well articulated. The setup was good. The timing. It's just
That
see.
was that was
Was
rich.
that a performance, Rudy, or was that just you speaking from your heart?
Uh, that's speaking from, I guess, a place of experience now. I'm not nervous on the phone on these recordings with you guys. I
Yeah.
don't care anymore.
You're not
I
talking about the experience with the hookers, are you?
oh no 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 no
I was like, wait a minute. We'll
no
clip that
no.
too.
I have never dabbled. Certainly not anywhere near the extent that those gentlemen have. But
Yes.
you know, when you do have $1 billion, you should. I totally agree. You got to fucking like get out of that stuff or figure out how to doesn't come bite you in the ass. Um,
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
and like things are so different now too. Like that's honestly that's one thing that I've thought of. It's like it's a little bit scary. Like not if when this thing blows up, right? Like people are gonna like be looking for reasons to cancel you. Like they're gonna dig through your life. It's so easy for people
Mhm.
to look up everything you've ever done and all the
Everything you've ever said.
the mistakes you've made, the stupid shit you posted online. I mean, and the
Yep.
deeper stuff goes, people data leaks, people can get into probably old messages and stuff. It's like
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
I'd like to think I didn't do anything that bad, but it's like, I mean, there's still stuff that obviously, I've said and done that I wouldn't want people knowing, especially on a large scale like that. It's really crazy, especially the way the technology's gone. So, I mean, but whatever. It's like something that, you know, yeah,
like
work
how can
on.
we stop it? Like it's an avalanche, right?
It is what it is, right? But it's like what do they call it with I'm gonna murder it, but like with more responsibility comes bigger problems or something. Is that it?
Yeah, well, more money, more problems. But
Yeah,
More
with
money,
greater
more problems.
responsibility,
the
whatever.
greater, yeah. What is it, dude? We're terrible. We're fucking terrible. We need to know
What the
this.
fuck is wrong with us, dude? Yeah, that's insane.
I mean, like Google's the thing.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
like I looking at
With
my
great power comes great responsibility. That's what it
thank
is,
you.
right? Yes.
Oh my god.
We're just
Wow.
going.
You're
We're
retarded.
going, Uncle.
Well,
What is it, Uncle Ben?
if we didn't record at fucking 10 p.m. every night, I had some wit to me. I've drained all my mental resources throughout the day. Then
Dude,
we hop on and we're like, "Grrr."
I'm on
Seriously.
energy. I'm on energy drinks and a hope and a dream right now. We're
Yeah.
we're we're pushing through this.
Oh man. If we do this in the day though, like I mean that's that's the good stuff, right? But we're here now.
we're still chilling. I mean, a little delirious. You kind of say things that maybe
Yeah.
you wouldn't say otherwise. I think we're a little less
Yeah,
reserved.
well,
I
it's not
would,
like we're gonna get canceled or anything.
yeah.
No.
I feel like
I
most
mean,
of
it's hard
us
to get
aren't awful
canceled.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hard to get canceled when you have 10 views. So
Fair.
we're picking up momentum now. I mean, some of the episodes, I think the one with Jeff actually did pretty good.
The hot topic that's going to last right now is the port strikes and the election, right?
Don't get me
I
started on the port strikes, man.
That's crazy.
I I think it's just I
Uh,
have no idea. I don't know what's going to happen. I guess I always think to each their own. But you'd like to think there's some like somebody with some decency or some real foresight in those positions of directing a union, and it's just bad timing. It's terrible timing.
well,
Uh,
I mean, that's
and
kind of the point of a strike, though, right? Is you want it to be at the worst possible time for the company or the
well,
rest of the world, even.
It was like the writer's strike, right? Because it
it's
was like, COVID was one of the biggest times for movies
Yeah,
and stuff because everyone was stuck at home. And then they're like, all right, we're going to go on strike because you guys are screwed without the writers.
yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, that
it's
ruined a
it's
lot
it's
of
even worse
careers.
for like the more recent hurricane victims, right? Because now they can't get their supplies as quickly, or they might
Not
have to pay
necessarily. Uh,
exorbitant amounts. There's going to be a
yeah,
massive cleanup effort, right?
yeah. I
It's
don't
more
know. I
area
don't
though,
know
right?
if
It's
their
like
stuff is really going to go shore to shore. Like a lot of that's going to be rail lines and Teamsters and trucks and things like that.
you can
So
bring
I
stuff
don't
in.
know if
You can
like
bring stuff. I'm sorry, Dave.
no, you're good. I don't. I just. I don't see it coming from overseas, really. So like the longshoremen may not be that big of an issue for these
Well,
people.
well, aren't there's no way they're not taking it in, right? And they're not shipping it out. Isn't that
Right.
isn't that
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, stuff in this country, for example, 99% of it's trains. So
sure?
like. So like the majority of this stuff's already here. It's the stuff that's going to be coming in. Like for example, at work, right? I am going to get screwed because I have a sea shipment coming in the next 3 months, but I'm probably not going to have a sea shipment coming in the next 3 months because it's just going to get stuck on the water.
Sure.
Well, it's also a matter of like what resources they need, right? Like obviously, if like they
Right.
needed, like there's so many things that we have. Like there's
Yeah.
there's going to be no shortage of like toilet paper like there was during COVID and Waltham, but we could take extra stuff, and I could even bring a box truck down and say, hey, I want to do humanitarian effort and just go down there with like a crap load
Right.
of pieces of water,
Right.
and like that's
Yeah.
really what they need, right? It's like
Yeah.
water, shelter, and some other stuff.
And their mayor, someone like that, had a really good point where there's just so much widespread devastation that neighbors helping neighbors is probably the most important thing for them right now.
Yeah.
Which I mean is probably the most true thing to come out of this whole thing. It's like it's like that's kind of the backbone of this country, right? Anytime something absolutely horrible happens, neighbors help neighbors and kind of helps us get over it.
Yeah. That's it's sad that it has to happen after a tragedy. You
Yeah,
know.
There's always
unfortunately.
like it seems like this even happens with my family. I'll honestly be the first to admit it. I don't think I'd piss any of them off. Every time there's like a death in the family or something happens, we all get together, we hang out, we'll have drinks or whatever we do. And we're like, oh, we really need to do this more. It really sucks that the tragedy brought us together. I think any family can relate to that, and it's
Yeah.
like, why don't we get together more when when the times are good and not have to rally around this? It's funny, like that just reminded me of after 9/11 was actually the most united the country was in like the last like 50 years, right?
Yep.
And they used that unity to get us into a war. Oh, sorry, Dave. They did that to get us into a war that we shouldn't even have fucking gotten into in the first place. So it's like even though that was a nice time for us to all get together, it ended up being used against us. And now we're divided and we need unity. And if we find unity, they'll probably find a way to freaking use it against
Fuck
us.
us. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
Jesus.
It's
no,
fucking crazy. Yeah,
divisiveness is the best way to make money.
it's insane. And then yeah, you get enough people corralled or arguing, it's like you can just monetize the absolute fuck out of that. I mean,
Hmm.
and then COVID was like
Especially
Vinny
when
was
it
gone.
becomes so almost like religious. It's like it becomes these people's
Cult
way of
like.
life. Yeah, cult like. It's a really great way to put it. You can make a killing off of it.
Mhm.
Trump has. I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah. Oh yeah. He has
what a
his whole life basically.
yeah,
That's
Yeah,
what
he's
a
had a big following. I mean, even like I said, he's like selling golf balls and like coins and all
yeah.
kinds of crazy
He
he's
shit.
selling
sold
luxury watches that are
yep.
called
Everything.
Trump for
Yep.
100 grand
There's
or
nothing. There's
12
nothing that
billion.
he won't sell. Yeah, it's insane.
No, it's crazy. He used to do this thing called Trump University back in like the 90s. That got him into a ton of trouble because it was just a huge scam.
Yeah, it's yeah,
I gotta
just
open
a
a for sale
scam
cigarette.
university.
There.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, no. The guy throws his name on whatever he wants and wipes his ass with $100 bills.
Yeah, sees what sticks. It's yeah, it's pretty awesome. So it's pretty hilarious.
Hmm.
But yeah, like the any of you guys watched the vice presidential debate last night?
No, I didn't
No,
watch
I
it.
fell
I didn't
I
asleep.
watch it either. I just
I
went through some reviews
the
and stuff.
only tidbit I saw is of Vance telling Walls that he feels bad for him because he's got to try to make her sound somewhat appealing, and what was it he said something about like you know trying to agree with the fact that they haven't done a good job, right? Like he feels bad for him. And I was like, that's good. That's well put, dude. Actually.
One of the best sound bites that I got, because you knew that like they only agree to do it on certain channels, right? It was the same with Kamala
Yeah.
Harris when she, went against Trump and they want to do it on, a neutral channel. And you could tell, obviously, that the people from that network are biased. And
Sure.
it's fine, it is what it is. But when it comes out,
It's expected.
it's expected, right? But then like they'll try to fact check in real time, Vance, like they did to Trump. And then Vance was like, no, I'll actually let me address that. And then he started addressing it. And she's like, we don't have time. We need to move on. He's like, no, no, no. Like you brought it up. You fact checked me in real time against what the rules were before we came here. So now I'm going to address your question that you weren't supposed to bring up in the first place. And he like, and then he got it through. And it was like, it showed that paradigm of like that bias and stuff like that in the media. And I thought it was a slam dunk. It was pretty cool.
It was a
Um,
slam dunk. Yeah,
and
man.
it didn't, and
Stuff
I
like
don't know if
that.
he didn't call him Tampon Tim once either. So, that Trump would have said it 1,000 times. So that's good too. You
It's
know
He
what the
kept
crazy.
it. He
Tampon
kept
Tim
it
thing?
civil. Yeah. What's
It's
that?
crazy that the leaders of our nation have turned themselves into sound bites and memes.
Yeah, the
This
Tampon
is
Tim.
the America we live in.
It's like, well, and that's the thing though. It's like those are the moments. It's like the cats and dogs thing was all people are really going to remember about the first debate, and not even any of the stuff that really came up. And there's so
It's
much
that.
semantics and so much arguing, you don't even get to the real policy half the
No,
time.
yeah,
The
and
last
and the
couple
funny part is they have a vice presidential debate as if those people are going to have anything to do with any of the policies that are going to be put into place.
Well, even the president, even the two presidents have nothing to really do with it. It's like
Fuck no.
it's the way that the money moves and the way that things kind of work out. It just kind of what side of the aisle you want to be on, and
It's all about the ratings, man.
yep, and which one you think is going to have the least corruption. And I know where it's probably pretty obvious, but I know where I'm standing on that side, and I'm totally willing and ready to be wrong. But I think that there's no 100% right answer because there isn't. It's just way too hard when it comes to public policy. But unfortunately, you have to put some faith into the system and then hope that you come out on the better side of it. And, that's
Dude.
part of why I don't stick my neck out there too much because, I'm not gung ho about either or because, it's like I'm totally willing and expecting to be wrong. And that's kind of the way I would leave any debate is I'd say, listen, talk to me in 4 years and then, you'll see who is more objectively right or wrong about it. But I guarantee you that no one's going to be right about 100% of this because it's impossible for one
Yeah.
person
No.
with that
And
much
and
public policy
and
and that much power, not only in the United States, but in the world to be right on every decision. You just got to pick what side of things you want to be on and which path
well,
you think is going to make more sense for you and your family and, the people you care
you're
about.
you're bound to be disappointed too because whoever gets
Right.
in is going to do half of what they say they're going to do,
If
and
that.
F that, and
And they're going to do what
it could
benefits
and
them.
it
It's
could
like,
get worse. Could get worse,
Mhm.
and it may not even be their fault, right? Somebody might throw a nuke somewhere.
well, yeah, like, we don't
Yeah.
have to spend too much time on the politics unless we want to, but like, I mean, that's part of the reason why, like, it's so obvious, even if you look at it like black and white and you don't even really dive into the nitty-gritty of it, it's like if you see how hard they try to just defame and just make up and like just absolutely just go after Trump, drag him through court. But then they did the same thing to RFK and they dragged him through court and they did all this stuff. And then they did a
The
similar thing
Democrat,
to
the Democratic Party, yeah.
Tulsi Gabbard, and then they, Ramaswamy, and they were all against each other. Tulsi Gabbard and RFK were two Democrats that I was totally and able, willing to vote for after I seen, their track record and what they believed in. And then to see them on that side, it just, when I see that many people I respect backing that side of things because things right now are so unstable. And then you have the pharmaceuticals, the real powers that be, right? The real powers like the Black Rocks,
insurance
putting
companies.
all their money where they own they own the media channels and stuff like that, putting all their money against that. And then you look at all these politicians. They were worth 1 million, now they're worth 100 million, like Obama and Kamala and all them. That's all through their sponsors and their super PACs. Then you look at Trump and
That's Citizens United.
yeah,
It's from all the corporations. All
and
of them
listen,
do it.
Trump is definitely taking money, and I don't know everything by
Yeah.
any means, but it's
No,
like
no. This is
Trump,
definitely
yeah,
why he's running for president is to make a shitload of money.
yeah. Well, but
That's the
even
only
like if you,
reason.
he's gonna make money through some of the campaign stuff as well, and there's stuff that are definitely getting buried. And like I said, I'm just going off what I've heard. I don't
It's
obviously,
ghost money, man. Yeah, as soon as that money comes in from the
yeah.
super PAC, that's it. It's gone. It's
And
it's yours to do whatever the hell you want to do with it. But
listen,
if you
and
get caught, you're
yeah,
fucked.
oh yeah, and then but like at least on like a legal scale. Trump was worth like 4 billion and now he's worth like 3 billion. And then everybody else just ascends through the roof of their actual net worth. And part of that's popularity and stuff, but it just like it
Yeah.
just you follow the money and you look at the incentive structure and money's always going to be there, but it's like it's very obvious that the powers that be are really completely controlled by money because it all filters down through the media, through the PACs, through all the policy decisions, through the military industrial complex, and all
Hmm.
those things have actually were touted. And I just mentioned 9/11. That whole Dick Cheney and Bush thing. Well, they were warmongers, right? And they got us into that war for no freaking reason. And they were involved in the oil industry and all this shit, right? But that whole thing is flipped on its head. And I believe, 100% by following this for the last 4 or 5 years that that's flipped on its head and it's now the Democratic Party. And it's hard for people to wrap their head around it. And that's why they do
Yeah.
the race
So
baiting and the
so the
ESG and all
real
that to
funny
try
part
to,
about all of this, the
yeah.
hilarious part about all of this is like every 20 to 30 years, the parties switch platforms, if you've ever noticed that.
Yeah,
Like if
it's
you if you
crazy.
follow her along the lineage, I obviously haven't been alive long enough to see it myself, really,
Yeah.
but that's kind of what we're seeing right now is those policies are starting to flip flop. But
Well, there's the Reagan era, and then there's JFK. Then you look at what happened to JFK. There's a lot of conspiracy around that. Then you have his
there's conspiracies
family
about
getting
any
into
kind
it.
of.
Yeah, but like even the Kennedy family though, they've had ties to like the mafia and different things, and there was some weird collusion about that. But then so there's just it's really hard to figure out. But JFK was America's sweetheart, and was going against a lot of that stuff, like the military industrial complex and different things. And then the guy ends up dead, and now some guy who's going against the grain is kind of a wild card, and no one can tell him what to do. They're trying to kill him every fucking week. You know what I mean? It's like
Dude, they
it's kind
are
of hard to like, okay, is this a coincidence or is it not? But a lot of things are
because it's
starting
all
to line up.
happening like right now.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
literally right now. But
It's getting really
uh
tight over there.
I digress. I think it's pretty obvious.
I don't know, man. There's just something that doesn't feel right about the assassination attempt, this latest one.
Yeah,
It just was like way too convenient of timing.
yeah.
It's like he just had a shit show of a debate, right, where he really wasn't allowed to do anything, and then all of a sudden, oh, this guy tried to kill me, and then bang, back right on the front pages.
The craziest thing too, and listen, I'm not ruling that out. It's all going to come out in the wash eventually. I had the same thought to be honest with you, Dave, but it's like
35 years.
it's
Isn't that what confidential stuff gets declassified?
yeah. I mean, and hopefully, it'd be amazing. And he said this, but he says everything that what I mean. He can't possibly always do. But
25 years.
Trump's like, I'm going to release the JFK documents, or you know what I mean, because like then people would actually see what the real truth is and what happened, and if the CIA killed him. The crazy thing about the assassination stuff, Dave, is that the same people who are supposed to be protecting him are the same Secret Service that goes in and then investigates the house of the assassinator. So it's like it's to be the easiest thing to wash because it's the same people protecting the president that are
Sure.
involved in it, you know what I mean, that are
Yeah.
potentially involved in the assassination. It's like the biggest
Well, no,
coup.
no, the Secret Service and the FBI are separate. So the
Yeah.
FBI is going to be the one doing the investigating. The Secret Service doesn't really have like an investigative wing.
I think that the Secret Service gets, I mean, I guess the Secret Service is a branch of it, but like they're all kind of, you know what I mean?
Well,
In
I mean,
that,
they all fall under the wing of the Department of Justice, yeah,
yes.
but like that's kind of like saying that local cops and the FBI are the same thing.
But it's like the local cops are such a small scale. Like I like one word that the Ramaswamy guy uses is the managerial class, and that's really like the CIA, like the operative stuff that's like, and then all the money
What's
that's
really
in the
funny is
corporate, that actually runs things.
what's really funny is technically the Secret Service is actually like an arm of the Department of Treasury. Their original job was to like find counterfeits, and that's what they do.
And now they protect the president.
Yeah, because at the time they became some of like the most badass kind of dudes,
Yeah.
and then they was it Lincoln's body that got stolen? Hold on.
Oh, geez.
Wow, this is a deep cut I never heard before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
President Lincoln, like,
Oh no, so it was
A,
a
a
plot
body
to
of a
steal
president?
it. Yeah, yeah. So somebody tried to steal the remains of President Lincoln, and uh, and that's kind of where the Secret Service kind of got their big powers, if I'm not mistaken.
because they
If you
found the
having
person.
people stealing bodies of presidents, if
Right,
you having
right,
that.
yeah,
So you probably pay a lot. Some weirdo somewhere would pay a lot for that rib cage. You know what I mean?
right.
Some
the
Jeffrey
the
Dahmer fucking
the head on the
history
wall,
freak.
some Russian.
It
Oh yeah.
was like it was a symbolic thing. I think it was a group of racists that tried to steal it.
Mm.
It's crazy.
Well, no,
But anyway,
circling back to like the digression of things, though, they go from really being important and doing a great job at preventing that body from being stolen to allowing multiple shit show type assassination attempts happen.
I think
So
it kind of comes with the territory, though.
maybe
Like
maybe
like
maybe it's the type of guard that is placed on that detail, right?
not even that necessarily. I think it's just it's a mix of like right now we're at our most heated, right? That we've been in a while. The most divisive that this country's been. So like there's bound to be more people willing to take action uh for whatever they believe in.
Yeah.
And then we're also at this point too where like, you know, we're kind of gun happy. You look at all the school shootings and everything. Everybody's always like, you know, don't raise your voice, just pull out a gun. And I think the mix of all of that has kind of made it more common that something's going to happen. And it's been so long since something's happened that they're just not prepared for it.
Yeah, there's a complacency that
Yeah.
that happens, and
Well, it's
that can be said about everything.
Mhm.
Honestly, I mean that's why we're on the decline. You know, that's how world order changes. People get
yeah. Well, yeah.
complacent.
If you think
They
about Rome and
and and
stuff,
it,
yeah.
and to our core, to our basis, to our blocks, right? We preach all these things so we don't get complacent because it leads to a digression and it leads to weakness. If we continually work on ourselves and put time in and get uncomfortable, you don't you you're better prepared for whatever may come.
It is.
Absolutely.
There's so many. That was very well said. There's so many layers to it. Like, 'cause it's like we have certain intrinsic rights, and there's a reason why we got to where we are because of the freedom of speech and the ability to, basically debate peacefully each other, and even the right to bear arms. It's like we came up to this point under certain principles, and now things are kind of being thrown out of whack and used against us. But the issue with some of this stuff, as far as like censoring speech or gun control or whatever, is that it takes so much power away from the individual. And if the state gets too big and then there's too much power, then it becomes authoritarian. So it's a really tough balance to happen. But that's one of the biggest things that I'm worried about, is because when that tips over, then everyone says, oh, put it in the government's hand. When at the end of the day, and I know it sounds so simple, if we just all got on the same page, like when it was 9/11, but we said, fuck this. Like, we're not paying taxes. We're going to continue
No.
to run our businesses. We're going to continue to go here, and it's like the
They can't
military.
stop all of us.
They can't. And it's like the military and the police are us. They're just normal people like us. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, like I'm gonna go to this business. Like if they try to do COVID again, I think that like 90% of restaurants would be like, fuck this, like we're staying open. And then people who lived in town would be like, yeah, fuck this, like we're going to the restaurants. And then it's like, who's really gonna stop it? And like that's a I know that's dramatic and it sounds like a lot, but yeah, it's like when you're driving down the highway, right? And everyone's going 85 and you drive by a cop and you're like, well, I mean, there's six cars around
Nobody
me. We're
else is
all going
going.
the same speed in this pocket. I'm not gonna get pulled over. And it's that same momentum is that, there's power in numbers and we have numbers and most people are aligned on 80 to 85% of shit. It's just all the fucking minutia that's kind of put in between and placed there specifically.
It's
And that's where the they gets hard to define, right? Because you're like, oh, the they. And that's where I like people like, Vivek Ramaswamy and stuff like that who are very articulate. And JD Vance is good at this as well. And they can kind of identify and better explain what that managerial class is through the, Secret Service to the CIA to the pharmaceutical companies to these,
Yeah,
different things that
yeah.
I'm not obviously the most qualified to talk about, but
The
there's at least
ma-
names going to that now. And it's not just the they as it was 15, 20 years ago before this information age exploded.
right. Well, those that managerial class, to your point, Don, they manage the perception of of the world. Largely. I would go that far. Definitely America, Canada Dry. Nice, enjoy that. But I
What's the
was listening.
cheers it with Dave?
Oh, do you have a Canada Dry, dude?
Is it
Is
a
it
Coke
two
or
no,
something?
Canada Dries? Oh,
no, it's Coke.
Sorry,
Cherry
Rudy.
Coke.
no,
I was
that's
trying
all
to be
good.
funny.
No,
It wasn't
but
that cool.
no, but the managerial class manages perception of masses, and the problem that has occurred is we were so comfortable for so long, and we were in we are still comfortable, right? We're easily influenced, to keep that comfort. And I was listening to this book called The Map of Consciousness by Dr. Hawkins. And I don't know when this book was written, probably within the last 40 years. But he talks about 40 to 45% of the entire world population not being able to distinguish perception and what they're hearing versus essence. And essence is like the truth, right? What that is to essence, is it? And people aren't even searching for that anymore. They're just taking perception at face value, and that's a very dangerous place to be, because once the majority of the world population gets that way, it's going to be hard to make any change. Um, so, and I don't know if a United States president is going to do it. We might be heading in the same direction with either candidate, right? Towards some type of dictatorship, which is crazy, right? But
Yeah.
or
Depends.
maybe,
Is it going to be an outright dictatorship or is it
yeah,
going to
it's
be a
going to be a subtle.
dictatorship that's
It's going to
kind
be
of
a
hidden?
subtle. Yeah, right.
That's your two choices.
I think it's through
That
AI, through technology, through the brainwashing of the mass.
Can we talk about
sure,
AI for a second?
Yeah, of
sure.
course. Yeah.
AI is not as scary as everybody. Actually, it's not even really AI, right? So the most popular form of AI is this thing called the large language model, an LLM, right? And really all that is like something that's just ridiculously good at Googling, right? So that's where it's pulling its intelligence from. So like for the most part, it's pulling whatever is inputted. So it's only as scary as what people are putting into it,
Mm,
which sounds
it gets
awful.
scary.
Right. It sounds awful, but the reality is it's just really good at pulling words. And
Yeah,
that's why what's really sad about the whole thing is like it's going to inevitably take the jobs of all the creatives,
Yeah.
which is really sad. But that's the way it's going to be because they realize how much money there is involved in that, and it's way easier to have automation and not pay a robot to do it. But
yeah,
but
Well,
but
I think you're right about that. I actually,
yeah.
the same
They
guy
could
who gave
write.
me, yeah.
They
Sorry.
could write fantastic songs, right? They
yeah,
can paint beautiful pictures.
yep.
Um,
It's pretty insane.
what's good knowledge is being like a prompt engineer to tell AI what to do, right?
Yeah, I've gotten ridiculously good at that. So like at work, we have a couple of we use Adobe Fairlight for some of our graphics because there's only two of us and we don't have a graphic designer on payroll. So I've gotten super good at telling it what to do, and it comes out with some awesome stuff.
Yeah.
It's cool because that's what the skill. I was having this conversation with my cousin was here the other night. That's the skill now. It's like not being an admin. It's like being a skilled admin that can use large language models or
Chat.
AI in order to do invoicing, answer emails, do follow-ups, CRMs, all that stuff. And if you can be a master manipulator or whatever, puppeteer, if you will, of that technology, one person can do 10 people's jobs or whatever, and that's really where the skill set is gonna kind of integrate. So I think at this point we're gonna have to integrate with it, but like I don't I agree with Dave, and I've listened to a lot of podcasts about AI. It really is something that's been around for a long time. There was a huge AI boom in the 70s and the 80s, actually. The naked Asian dude who gave me stock advice, which is doing amazing, by the way. And I have to tell you guys about that. Maybe I'll get into it in a minute. But he's the same person. He's like, I lived in Cambridge during the 70s and the 80s, and they bought buildings and they did all this stuff, and they thought that AI was going to be the next thing, and there was a huge boom, and it kind of fizzled out because the technology kind of just went to where it went to, but it wasn't anything that was like revolutionary at the time. And I thought that was very interesting. And then he told me to buy the FNGU. It's like a collective of stocks essentially, but you buy it
Fang
through a
stocks.
Roth. Do you know what the FNGU is, Rudy?
Yeah, the Fang stocks. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like the top 10 tech companies or whatever, but it alternates like when one drops off. And he's like,
Yeah.
you can put up to $5,000 a year through a Roth, account. And I put it in and it went up like over 100% this year already. And he's like, every December, you want to put in 3,500 to 5,000. And if you do that until you retire, he's like, it could easily be, up to $1 million just by contributing 3 to 5 grand a year in December. And after, I mean, it's only been 1 year, but, and I took my advice from a naked Asian dude at the YMCA, but so far he's doing pretty damn good, dude. It went
You
from
get
3,500 to over 7,000 already this year. And now it's down to like 5,600.
yeah. Well,
So,
it'll go up.
yeah.
Te- Tech is the way to do it.
Well, and it's at a compound interest. It's like, I'm not a
Yeah,
huge
and
stock guy or
you're
whatever, but yeah.
getting you're getting your splits by those big ass companies, and you're getting they probably got you on dividends too. Some payouts. I'd imagine the top tech companies hand out dividends at some point.
I mean, I feel like if you were to even the day trade with that, you could do so amazingly. Because if you bought it you could have I could have sold out then, but because it's in that account, it's just one that I'm not going to touch. But
Yeah,
it would have been very
yeah,
interesting to buy some of that separately, not through a Roth, and then just sell it when it hit 7,200. You know what I mean? I
mm,
would have had to pay the gains on it or whatever, but I still would have made a couple grand. Yeah, I would have
yeah,
had to flip it on my income.
yeah.
But I mean, I don't know enough to be a day trader, so it is what it is.
Uh, Crypto's a crapshoot right now too. Everything, dude. Everything hit a dip about like 10% over the last 2 days. Everything is down 10%. I I'm waiting for a large blip though. I think this is the last little bit before a massive bump. And then if Camilla gets into office, I'm gonna have to sell everything like probably a couple days before the election. Um or close to it.
If you think it's going to go that way?
I think Camilla's probably gonna win. And I think
It's Kamala, so it's hilarious that you're saying it that way.
Camilla
Kamala. Camilla's like a porn star or something.
It's like the ultimate white man pronunciation of
Kamala.
her
I know,
name.
Yeah.
fuck me, dude. What a terrible dude. Forgive me,
We're gonna
Camilla.
clip that, dude, because that's hilarious.
Uh,
Yeah, but I
I
mean, yeah,
sound
then
so
we all
insensitive.
know. It's just
Anyways,
you're gonna get
she,
taxed to a fucking oblivion.
yeah, but she doesn't, she's not good for crypto, and you know, so it's gonna take a large dip, I'd imagine. But
My
actually, I bet she's gonna flip it on it. I bet you within a year, U.S. government will be all in on crypto, but all us petty little players will have pulled out by then. Got
Because you're too
totally fucked.
scared.
Right.
Hold the line, dude. Come on. Did you learn
I
anything
bought
from
into all
fucking
of my crypto
GameStop?
pre-COVID, and I'm still holding on to all of it.
Oh wow, Dave. Good. That's really good.
It's
That's
really
really
good.
good.
You got to hold the line. Like I said, even when this guy, like I said, I don't know as much, and crypto is completely different. But this guy's like, listen, it's going to go up, it's going to go down. But over the course of time, if you literally do
Yeah.
that for the next 30, 40 years, and I mean, really, what's $3,000 to $5,000 a year? I mean, most people could put that aside if they really made an effort of to do that. You know what I mean? And they could keep their expenses down. And but that would have to be your priority. I mean, it's definitely
$100 a week.
yeah. I mean, it's not crazy to think that okay, in 30 years I could have an additional $1 million in a retirement account. Um, that was pre-tax or whatever that is or whatever. Anyway, that's the cool thing about crypto, and I probably already said that on this, but I do want a soundbite of this, and that's something that I think that RFK and his running mate, I forgot her name. Do you guys remember? Anyway, who was his vice president?
Sheehan. She.
Yep, yep, Michelle.
Yeah.
And no, it's not Michelle, is it?
No, that's not Michelle. Hold
No,
on.
I'm thinking of Michael. Whatever. It's ruining the whole entire sound clip I was hoping for. I shouldn't even have brought it up. But anyway, RFK's running mate, she is actually into the crypto and she thinks it'd be a great way to put a ledger on it because the best way for us to have insight onto government spending would be able to put it on the blockchain. If we put
Yeah.
government spending on the blockchain, then sophisticated people who know way more than us and are really good with AI could filter through it. And as a populace, if we had insight to the ledger, we could actually see where some of those errors are and then kind of as a community work to keep the government spending under control. But that's something that, the managerial class, the powers that be, whatever you want to call them, would fight
Wait.
like hell and do anything.
The status quo is always a 30% raise year on year for everything that they spend on. That's why our military budget's like what, like $5 trillion or some shit now.
And it's
Oh,
Nicole
yeah, it's insane.
Shanahan, by the way. Nicole
Nicole,
Shanahan.
thank you.
We're gonna
It's
sound like total misogynist pricks. I can't pronounce Kamala. We don't know Nicole. Come on. Come on.
it is
We're
what it
better
is.
blockheads.
We got to get our shit together here.
We
Yeah.
got it.
You're gonna just put Dave, just do a voiceover when we don't know what we're saying.
We're gonna put
I'll be like, we'll
Dave,
be
we're gonna
talking and
put
just say Nicole Shanahan.
Yeah, it'll just be my voice the
That'd
whole
be funny.
time.
Yeah, just your voice. That'd be so funny. That'd be a good edit if it wasn't too hard. Just like
Kamala.
every
we
time he
gotta
says it, just have your voice go Kamala.
Kamala. Nicole.
What
oh my God,
one time in high school, this it was like this like big event or whatever, like this like stage, like they were doing like a performance or something like that, and they were like calling people out in the crowd, and they were like, oh, Tiffany, whatever. And I was like, here. And everyone like the whole auditorium started laughing. And it was like, I felt so bad for this like shy girl because I was like, here. And just
Terrible.
like literally like all like 450 kids are like laughing at the same time. And I was like, probably one of the better jokes that I've ever made in my life from a, audience standpoint. And I just, she was like as red as a
Why?
pricked
Well,
apple.
probably because everybody knows her as a really quiet, shy girl,
Yeah.
right?
So it was like, then
So
I was
what'd you
like,
do
before
with
she
it?
could answer, I was like, here. What a dick.
Jeez,
What a fucking dick.
jeez, Dad.
Just ruined her
I,
day.
wa-
Way to go.
I wasn't like a huge bully or anything like that, but I definitely would extend a little bit for a good laugh. So
Yeah, yeah.
guilty as charged.
No ill intent.
Yeah.
Just wanted a little chuckle out of the crowd.
Off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So listen, this is insane, and I don't want to. I'm throwing this out there again for the 100th time. It's been already a year, and I'm
Okay.
mentioning this again. I haven't done shit about it. Is the whole stand-up thing? I really
Mhm.
want to do like a little bit, and it'd be cool to like record it and stuff. But guess who? You'll never guess in a million years who else said they want to do it, and they would do it with me.
Who would? And I won't
You'll never.
guess.
And you go. You guys could. I could give you guys. You. I could give you guys 1,000 guesses a piece, and you want to guess.
It's
Would it
definitely
be?
Kyle.
No,
Is it?
no. It's just that's so unfathomable. It's not even.
Is it Mike?
No, he's somebody.
Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't give a
Yeah,
fuck.
that's what I'm saying. I would never guess him.
It,
BK.
it's so somebody you guys never met them before.
All right, we never met him.
Well, that's
Okay.
of course I'm not going to be able to
Oh,
guess it. I'm going to
no,
just throw a name out there. I don't know, Phil Collins.
All right. Anyway, I'll tell you. I'll stop this. Save the suspense. My mom.
your
My mom.
mom.
What?
I swear. So she was with us
That's
remotely.
wonderful.
She's hilarious, right? And like when she's on it, it's like she's freaking like even on the phone today, she was like laughing her ass off. She's like, I'm funny. She's like, I would do it. And like she just like had this like new wave of energy where she's like a lot more open to stuff and like not as stubborn and stuff in her ways. And I'm like, if we went to a freaking bar or something like that one night and we did like those little 2 minute or 1 minute round robins and she just told like one story about my grandfather or whatever, like it would be hilarious. And if it as long as she wasn't too nervous and she like
Yeah.
got through it, I mean, I feel like people would fucking lose their minds because the fact that this lady's doing this like for the first time ever, and my mom's never even like left like the farthest place my mom's ever been is like Pennsylvania. She's never been on a plane. She's never like, you know what I mean? She's like a very like, you know what I mean? Just
Yep. Stays in.
traditional, stays in her thing
Yep.
person, and it just anyway. I really think that would be incredible just to do in general. Obviously, getting content of that would be amazing just to have, and then for us. But like that's something that if it went well, even if it didn't, it would just be so exhilarating, cool for her to like feel that feeling and be nervous. And even if she like didn't do well, like I think that people could just stand behind it and still support
She's
her.
gonna do great. There's no
Yeah.
way she couldn't do great. I mean,
And she almost as long as she could tell, like I'd be like, just tell one story.
even if she
Tell a
goes up
story
there
about
and
grandpa.
smiles for 2 minutes, dude.
Yeah.
Like
People would be like, this is so
Better
like,
than most
oh yeah.
people.
this is pretty good.
Yeah. And then as she starts laughing, she can't stop laughing. And it's like this uncontrollable like chuckle. And it's like it's actually one of her and Gina, like Gina loves it. They like laugh together. Like it's hilarious.
Great.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, it'd be cool.
Well, that's fantastic news. I would Don, I know you want to do like a small group or something to get your feet wet, but if you
Yeah, just be
need,
cool. Like it's like the fact that it makes me nervous and I'm like putting off doing it means that I need to do it. And it's just
yeah,
like
yeah,
I've been looking at a lot of signs. I think a lot of signs have come up spiritually for me or whatever. I'll save that conversation maybe for later or a different day. But like when I'm like, okay, this is something I need to do. We're approaching, it's always been in the back of my mind. We're approaching the 1 year mark of the podcast, which is pretty fucking cool.
yeah.
We're coming right down the
Still,
pipeline. Pretty fucking
still
crazy,
going.
right? And then my mom comes up with some crazy shit like that and says that. Like my mom doesn't really know. I mean, I might have mentioned it like once, but she wasn't
Mhm.
saying it because of me. She just said it because she actually like meant it. And that's one
Mm.
thing about my mom. She doesn't say things that she doesn't mean. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
she says it like it's, you know what I mean? It's a possibility.
Mm.
Anyway, so I thought that was pretty funny.
That's fantastic.
That's awesome.
And yeah, and she can't fail. She'd fucking kill it. Especially with you too. If you two were up there, I mean, Don, that's us. That's our Blockhead Nation. Like that
It would
we'll
just
quit
all
everything else. It's just
it,
gonna be you guys.
it's a funny dynamic because we probably would get into an argument. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. When
Ah.
she was here, it was frustrating at a lot of times, and we got into some arguments. But I mean, just having her here, and for her and Gina to get closer and all that. I mean, it was just incredible, and I'm very grateful. And even my cousin came this weekend. My cousin Anthony, who actually would be an amazing podcast guest, by the way. He's
Mhm.
unbelievably charismatic, and he has the most ridiculous stories about like women trying to kill him and stuff like that. And said,
Mhm.
I'm not kidding, actually. It's pretty funny. And I'll save that as like a little
Yeah,
sound
a
bite.
little teaser.
But he's another guy. Keep forgetting to mention who would be amazing. But anyway, I'll tell this story as well. Sorry, I'm like going on a rant. Um,
Nope.
my cousin Anthony, right? Because my brother, just to paint the context for the listeners, my brother's been pretty sick. He's going through a lot. He just got out of the hospital, and I get a call or I get a text message from my cousin Anthony, and he goes, "Hey, Ryan, can you give me a call?" And I'm like, when somebody says that, your stomach kind of sinks a little bit, and you're like, "Oh no, like I can't take any more bad news. Like
Yeah.
I hope everything's all right." So I call him and I'm like, hey, like, what's up? Like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, like, nothing. Like, what's going on with you? Like, how's your brother? How are things going? I fill him in or whatever. And he's like, well, I've been kind of working overtime, like squeezing some stuff in. I'm really trying to get down there this weekend. I want to see your brother, help out, do whatever. And I'm like, oh, like, that's awesome. Like, thanks, Aunt. Like, but I'm like, I'm actually going back to North Adams on Friday. Then I have to show properties on Saturday. And it's like, just, it's just a really bad weekend. I'd love for you to come down, but and he stops me and he's like, Ryan, the reason why I'm coming is to help. I'm not coming to hang out with you. I'm coming because you need a break. So go do what you got to do. I'm going to go there. I'm going to cook. I'm going to hang out with Chris. I'm going to kind of, help him with his medication, whatever. And then you do whatever you got to do. If at some point you come on Sunday and we hang out for a little bit, great. I might stay into the following week, but that's why I want to come. It has nothing to do with, you know what I mean? Us just
Yeah.
shooting the
Yeah.
shit. So that was really cool. And just seeing like him and some of my other cousins and friends alike kind of step up in that regard, it's like it really means a lot. And it's been
That's
really
awesome.
so it's like as terrible as this has been and how much it's been, and it's been really obviously difficult on my brother and everything like that. And I hate to see him going through this, but it's been really amazing seeing the the spiritual side of it, the love side of it, and the camaraderie
Yeah.
that kind of people have come together to really try to be there for us. So it doesn't
Yeah.
go unnoticed, and I'm extremely grateful for it.
That's so awesome, Don.
Yeah.
It's and one thing that I got to get better at is asking for help too. As you
Same.
like you were saying earlier, dude, you got a shit ton going. Like I acknowledge you have a lot going on. You had a big 2024. This was the big year. Lots of shit going on between work,
Crazy, dude.
family, and podcasts and
Even what I did
events
today,
and
like I was telling you, it's like what I like
work
who I met today.
working
I met
out.
this, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
this owner of this crazy company and stuff like that. It's just, yeah, it's been insane.
yeah, and when when we aren't good at asking for help, how fucking cool is it when somebody's gonna be like, "Now you gotta sit down and you gotta go do your thing, all right, or you gotta go get away for a little bit
Yep.
because I see you and I know it's that's got to be tough, And so when you got
Yeah.
somebody close enough that can have that quick convo with you
Yeah.
and let
Because,
you go,
yeah.
that's
And
good
like my
stuff.
cousin's like that, he'll be like, shut up, like, and, get out of here. Like, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, he's got that kind of like, where there's not like, there's only a handful of people who can like say that to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's that yeah, that was really cool. And it's like you are right though, because there's a certain part of that too, is that like you know who the people are, and you shouldn't be afraid to ask. So it's like in the position that I'm in, or many other people who are in far harder situations than I'm in, you know who the people are, and don't be afraid to ask. Because there's been a
Yeah.
lot of people who have said, "Hey Ryan, like, let me know if you need anything." And I know deep down that they would, you know. But the cool thing about like him showing up and some other people is that like just doing when you're in the position of like wanting to help, the best thing I feel like you can do is just do something, even if it's
Mhm.
anything, if it's just showing up and saying, "Hey, what can I do? Can I
Yeah.
fucking do the dishes?" That's the easiest thing. But also, I think that people, and I really like the point that you brought up, Rudy, people need to be better about asking. And even if it's not a crisis situation like we're talking about, like
Yeah.
even just in general, like it's okay to ask your manager for help or ask your peers or, your girlfriend or whoever for help,
Yeah.
no matter how large or small it is, because that's why you have people in your life. That's why you've done, all the things you've done for them. It's like, it's not a plus minus game, but you should be, you got to get to the point where you're comfortable enough to ask people. And I think that if you're willing to put yourself out there and be vulnerable, it's actually a sign of strength, because the worst thing they can do is say no. And you just have to take that at its face value and not, you
Right.
know, let it hinder too much one
Or
way or the
yeah.
other. Yeah.
Yeah. Or think too much about it. Honestly. Yeah. That. Amen, dude.
Well, there's a difference between one thing that my father said to me, right? So this is another crazy. So I don't know why I'm going on this crazy riff now. It just these things are coming to me. So when I was 17, okay, but right before I turned 18, and maybe it was right before I turned 18 or right when I turned 18, I was dating this girl. Okay. We were, boyfriend and girlfriend for like the whole summer or whatever of my, after my senior year. And she went, away to college or whatever. And we ended up breaking up, right? And I remember I was like really upset about it. And my father was like, Ryan. And he heard us on the phone. And I was kind of like, oh, like, is this gonna, work or not? And this was only like a few months before my father passed away, which is kind of crazy. And he's like, Ryan, can I tell you something? And I'm kind of worked up and I'm like, yeah, yeah, what's up, Dad? And he's like, never put the people that you care about in an ultimatum. And I was like, and I kind of wrapped my head around it at the time, I kind of like, I looked up what ultimatum meant, you know what I mean? But it
Mhm.
always stuck with me because it's like, even with what we're talking about, like you can ask people for help and you should, but it shouldn't be like ask me for
Contingent
help
on
if I
something.
really need it. It shouldn't be contingent on like me talking to you ever again. It shouldn't be anything. It should just be, hey, it's like when if you ask for a sale, you want to do this business or not? Okay. Can I follow up or no? Okay. It's just like it shouldn't be contingent on anything else. Oh, I'm going to pull out
Yeah.
this part of the deal, or I'm going to stop talking to you. It's like you can ask for help and you don't need to make it an ultimatum. And that's just one piece of advice that always stuck with me that I feel like has helped me in a lot of those situations where you really want to shape something up and try to have control over it, but it's not always the best idea if it's somebody you care about. If you don't really give a
Yeah.
shit about the situation, then an
Yeah.
ultimatum sometimes can be a form of strategy. But
Nobody likes to be in a corner, right?
nobody.
And having to choose between one and the other is always not fun. I want to have it all. So it's great advice. It's great advice, especially the people you can't, the people you care about and you love. Don't. I I I gotta get better. It's good to negotiate, but when um like Dom is freaking having a tantrum because he doesn't want to have put sweatpants on and it's fucking 50 degrees out, or 40 degrees out. um I gotta like say you can do this, or if you do this, I try to do it like something nice.
For kids, it's a little different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right. Well,
Sometimes
yeah,
you have to put things
yeah,
up.
but
Yeah,
still, like you don't want to,
There's
you
a
don't want
little
to,
bit of bribery involved though.
yeah,
you have
but
to almost. It's
but you
almost
don't
fun.
want to back him into that corner, though, right? You know, or you're gonna do this, right? Or else,
Well, that's kids
like
are smart though. That's where kids get
yeah,
smart because they're like they can sniff it out. They're like, I don't like this. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But like I think that so it's okay to negotiate, especially if there's a positive outcome. But the pushing and the to your point, an ultimatum, you know, with serious consequences. So no, don't put people in that spot. You know.
Yeah, just a good rule of thumb. Like I said, I think there's always outliers, I'm not gonna say that, but yeah, it's a decent rule of thumb. Um, it was really cute the other day in the text messages, Dave, when Kyle was like, Juliet really
Oh
wants to be
yeah.
off with Dave. Did you guys end up hanging out? Was it
Oh
nice?
yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, it was great. It's
yeah,
always great. She is
Beautiful.
a freaking she is a menace. And I love
yeah.
it.
It's awesome. And she she
Yeah.
she she, lo she loves the bird, right?
Oh my God, she's straight up addicted to him.
Does,
It's
does he does
it's
he love her? And what's his name again? I'm sorry.
shabby.
Shabby, yes.
Shopping.
Yeah.
And does Shabby really like her, or is it
Oh
kind of
my
a
God,
lie?
yeah. No, he adores
Yeah.
her. Yeah.
It's amazing how the
The-
animals like have that connection, like they
yeah.
know. Yeah.
There's some times where like he's just not having it, where like she's trying to grab him and he's just like nah nah nah, or he'll
Yeah,
just
like it's
fly
a little
away.
much right now. I'm trying to
He-
sleep.
yeah, right, right. Like it's nap time, please. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, they love each other, and it's probably the coolest thing. It's probably the only reason she talks to me.
It's amazing though. I mean, it's a good reason, you know what I mean? It's like
It's pretty cool.
animals have an amazing,
It's
that
true.
connection with humans. It's like that's the cool. If anything comes out of this technology before we freaking get blown up or whatever the hell's gonna happen, it'd be amazing to have like intel on like the communication of like animals, like if they can actually like communicate with each other, like
Of course they can.
they can. I mean, like, well, they say that like
They got
dolphins or whatever have their own language or whatever. Like,
Yeah, birds do too.
yeah, they have
Very
to.
much so.
They
Yeah,
tweet
right,
all morning. They're like,
right,
like
right.
the worms are all over here and like
Like,
Side Park and like I'm
yeah.
kind of
One
horny.
of
You know what
the,
I mean?
you know what a chickadee sounds like, right?
So chickens are, yeah, they're
No,
freaking,
no, a chickadee. Like our,
chickadee.
yeah, exactly,
yeah.
exactly. So the D's in that actually signify like what type of animal they're warning about. So that exact call is a warning call, and the number of D's in the chickadee sound is telling them, like, telling all the other birds and all the other animals around them what that thing that they're seeing is. So if you sit and you
Yeah.
listen to it long enough, you can start matching up what means human, what means dog, what means, whatever, and it's fairly universal between the whole species.
Wow, that's interesting, dude.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was freaking like a little mind boggling.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Like what the fuck? Like
the fucking chickadee language is
my chickapea
it
brain
over.
can't fucking
Yeah.
wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
You got fucking birds, their heads are falling off.
Birds are the shit, man.
We're going to have a few more friend episodes coming up. We have a few friends and family members who are going to come on and kind of accelerate the friendship series that we have kind of running in conjunction with our regular episodes. But we're also looking to have at least one, and it's a secret. We're not going to tell you guys. We're going to probably have one somewhat more, known or influencer. I don't want to say too much, but we're going to have at least somebody on before the end of the year that you guys should know, and that should be a great way to close out the year with with kind of an exciting guest that has a little bit more of a following and can maybe teach us a thing or two about building this thing up and doing the podcast. So
Putting the blocks on.
yeah, block by block, baby.
Black by black.
Blocking, yes, I am.